we are transitioning from a world where there was a consensus, maybe not a consensus, but a broad majority of thinkers, politicians, elected officials in the United States who were convinced that we needed nuclear weapons to defend ourselves and to defend our allies. And our allies felt that we needed to have nuclear weapons to defend ourselves against what was seen as the Soviet intent and stated intent to dominate the world. That was the nature of the Cold War balance. We are still moving away from that, and I take Rose's point that we need a term other than the post-Cold War world, but we are still living with a Cold War overhang, and we are working day by day to try and get rid of that hangover, that shadow, and that's part of what you've seen over the past several weeks and months. When we talk about no longer needing to threaten to use nuclear weapons against countries allied with nuclear weapons states, that's one of the big changes in the nuclear posture review, that our new statement is that we will not use nuclear weapons against non-nuclear weapon states in compliance with their non-proliferation treaty obligations. It's clearing out that old, and we think no longer relevant, approach to deterrence, which said you needed to have nuclear weapons to deter all these conventional attacks and other types of threats that we faced. We're working assiduously to narrow the range of issues where we feel we do need nuclear weapons in order to make sure that we and our allies are protected. When we want to keep making progress in that area. The Vice President, in his speech at the National Defense University in February, said that we are going to increasingly shift, and the QDR also makes this point, increasingly shift the burden of deterrence away from nuclear weapons and to other capabilities, not just military, but including military means, missile defense, advanced conventional capabilities, because we want to move away from a world where nuclear weapons are seen as being needed. So I don't view it as a contradiction. I view it as a transition, and one where we're in a difficult period and where we are going to have debates over what is the appropriate number, what is the appropriate role, but one where we feel we've moved out in a new direction, and one that we feel has at least the potential to go somewhere where the United States is much safer through a world where there are no nuclear weapons.